right now, everything we've got.
Everything we need now is everything you got.
Live in the moment.
If you ain't ready for a fight, go ahead and go home.
Tell you one thing we don't do is we don't lay down.
All we have.
What's going on, guys? Hey, I want to talk to you guys about the Philadelphia Eagles, how the running back passing game has kept their season alive. I'm going to give you an interesting statistic. Across the final 4 weeks of the regular season, 4 players had 150 yards receiving and 150 yards rushing. Christian McCaffrey was one, first-team All-Pro running back. Austin Ekeler was another. And the other two are Miles Sanders and Boston Scott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So 2 of the running backs of the 4 in the entire NFL played for the same team. Think about this. Across the first 4 weeks of the season, Miles Sanders barely touched the ball. Boston Scott was on practice squad. And in the final 4 weeks of the season, those 2 running backs have saved the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles and allowed them to have the opportunity to play in the wildcard game against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, really what we want to do is we want to talk about a couple things. If you remember correctly, the Philadelphia Eagles played the Dolphins in Week 14, and Alshon Jeffrey ended with a season-ending injury on his foot after a 16-target game in that game. So the Eagles had to find a way to win Week 15, 16, 17 because they had to win those 3 weeks. Now, really what I find interesting and something you guys probably need to talk about is this. So against the New York Giants, Boston Scott, in Philadelphia's probably most crucial moment, stepped in with 6 receptions for 6 catches for 70 yards to win the game against the New York Jets in the second half, which was absolutely amazing, and overtime, and kept their season alive. So let's really talk about what's going on here. And I want you to understand, the Eagles have gone 4-0 in the last 4 games of the season. And during that time, they have targeted the running backs 48 times, but they've only targeted the receivers 46 times. If that tells you and explains to you how important the running back game is for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, what I really find interesting is at Week 17, Zach Ertz goes out and falls, and he gets a broken rib and ends up playing the game, doesn't even play in the game Week 17, and the Philadelphia Eagles need the running backs to come through even more. So let's really talk about kind of how this works. First of all, you got to understand the screen game for the Philadelphia Eagles is absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot of people struggle with the fact that that the Eagles are that successful with the screen game. So I'm going to break down a couple of games for you. I'm going to show you I'm really going to show you what they've done and how it's really opened up everything for them. So the first thing you need to look at out of this compressed set, the Philadelphia Eagles call this a nasty reduced set. And what you need to see is, one, you need to see that the Philadelphia Eagles love running the ball out of these compressed sets because they love the pin and pull. They love the outside zone with the RPO. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll run the outside zone here, and then they'll run a simple RPO here, just like so. So really what I want to show you is that, in the NFL, the new thing right now is going one high, going man or cover 3 to stop the run game. So notice the Giants are about to roll down into a cover 3 look. They're about to go one high, and they're in a nasty compressed look. And what this does is Boston Scott is right here, okay? So you've got Boston Scott right here. You've got Miles Sanders right here. So in that situation, you have 2 guys that are there with great ball skills, great in space. So here's how this is going to work. You're going to get a speed motion from Boston Scott, and all you're going to get is a simple outside zone concept up here. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles knew, due to the field and the way it was set up, that they were going to roll down into cover 3. Okay, they were going to roll down into cover 3 to the field, so they ran a boundary side. They to the boundary, and then they ran a field side outside zone sweep here. Now notice the nasty sets, and what happens is all of a sudden you've got a tight end on defensive end who's normally rushing hard off the edge. You have a receiver who has leverage on a corner. You have a running back who's going to come off and he's going to actually match your numbers, which is really important to understand because now you have numbers for blocking. If you take a look at what you have right here, you have it really simply put. I mean, I can't help you anymore. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually match them at the point of attack by simply tossing the ball to Boston Scott on the edge. You got yourself a nice clean edge. You've given yourself a nice 11-yard gain, and guess what? First down. So let's go back and look from the end zone. I want to show you how it works. It's pretty simple stuff. It's a lot of people do this stuff. Notice that Dallas Goedert's playing in the wing. You've got Boston Scott on the right-hand side. And this is a must-need right here. Notice that he just tosses the ball to him. Notice the nice clean run. Boston Scott's an athlete in space. You've got running backs out blocking. You've got guys out there, Perkins out there running, blocking his tail off. So let's go back and let's look at the next one. Same game, okay? Same game. Look at the down distance. 1st and 10, okay? This is 1st and 10. Okay, what you have right here is you have Boston Scott in the backfield. You have, I believe this is Greg Ward at the top going in speed motion, okay? What they're going to do is every time they get in this motion set, if you take a look, notice that the running backs are right here. So notice that who these guys are, okay? These are your athletes. So they're going to go into a orbit motion off speed motion, which is going to rotate them into a cover 3 look pretty quickly. Remember, the NFL is heavy on this stuff. And I think a lot of people struggle understanding that. So traditional things that most NFL teams are doing, the Eagles can't do because they really have zero threat at receiver. You know, if you look right here, this kid right here is not a threat. You probably don't even know his name. He was probably serving coffee as a barista at Starbucks 2 weeks ago. You've got Greg Ward, who played quarterback in college. He's still learning the game, and he's a phenomenal athlete, but doesn't really understand, he doesn't really understand the nuance of receiver yet. So by sending this guy in speed into this jet motion really quick, you're going to get a roll down to cover 3. You're going to get a linebacker move himself out to make sure that this wing back right here can't block for it. Otherwise, you don't have numbers to match. Because remember the play before you just saw a jet motion with the exact same look. Now, I want you to look at it. If you do it, you match numbers. So think about this. If I do that, I can match numbers easily. I've got him here, I've got him here, I've got him here, and I've got numbers on the edge for the handoff. So what happens is you go to the zoom motion to clear him. It's an automatic check by the defense. They're going to blitz to the boundary. Okay, check it off. There's Boston Scott in the flat, and there's nothing but open space. Remember, they roll to a one high look, and you've got a guy who's got an athlete in space. So look, they're going to man this thing up. He's going to run with the post. He's going to try to push crack to the safety, and actually someone gets to him, which makes a huge play, which turns the corner's head around, which gives you a nice clean outside leverage on a slip screen. You know, this is the stuff that Doug Peterson does better than anybody in the world. Watch the motion right here. Watch how fast this happens. It's pretty interesting, pretty good stuff. You know, Greg Ward Jr. goes into that speed sweep zoom motion. You've got a nice clean pocket on the outside, and there you go. You got yourself a nice 30-yard gain. Okay, let's look at something else they did in the exact same game. Look at the down and distance. It's fourth quarter. Okay, the Eagles need this play to finish this game off. It's 3rd and 13. Okay, let's take a look what they give us. We're in a simple trips look. You know, it's 3rd and 13. It's pretty simple what most NFL teams are going to do in a very conventional method, guys. They're going to go one high, they're going to go man, and they're going to bring pressure. That's what happens in the NFL. It's kind of like the cliche thing to do in 3rd and long. They're going to give you a simulated pressure to try to change the launch point for the quarterback to make him feel uncomfortable, and they're going to try to man you up and say you're going to have to complete a low percentage throw. So what the Eagles do is they do a really good job understanding that process. They get them in trips. They know the blitz is probably going to come from the boundary because the trip side over here is going to maintain most of the skill guys in one-on-one, which means you're going to get a weak side blitz to this side right here, considering most running backs are going to be inside. Most blitzes are want to go on the side of the running back because that is the weak side of the protection. And you get a nice cross-face quarterback slip screen, a running back slip screen, and you've got yourself a great play. Now, the one thing I will say about most of these receivers that you don't know of, like this guy right here, Burnett, you probably never heard of, who was probably a target stocking shelves 2 weeks ago. They do a great job blocking because these guys want to be on the football field, and they do a great job for their quarterback. So watch the simulated blitz. Okay, you got simulated pressure from the outside, the weak side here, and you got a really nice opportunity. Watch how this thing happens. You get a nice simulated pressure. They drop off. The guy who's got Boston Scott man coverage is actually coming off the edge. He sees it late. He doesn't get there in time, and he puts himself in trouble. Now, Boston Scott, remember the walk-on from La Tech, phenomenal athlete, great in space, and actually reminds everyone of a little Darren Sproles. So let's go back and let's look at the Redskins game. Now, understand what it is. It's 1st and 10, second quarter. Washington has the lead. Now, watch what you get. Now, Washington is kind of the same idea. Notice the one high safety look. Again, we talk about it a million times, guys. This is an NFL cliche thing. One high is the way to go. So they're going to roll this guy into one high look. They know they're either going to get cover 3 or man or some kind of simulated pressure. What they're going to do is they're going to give you the same exact jet motion by Boston Scott. Now, this is still early on. This is before the Eagles. This is before the game, before the Dallas Cowboys and everything else. So you're going to get a simulated motion. You're going to get across the field jet motion right here. You're going to get a wide zone this way. Now, remember what I told you before. The wide zone by the Eagles is usually accompanied by an RPO by this tight end who's going to slant over the middle. So if you notice, it actually kind of holds these guys sitting in right here. The jet motion coming across the boundary is going to be your answer for your boot trail. If you're a Rams fan, you know what trail is. Trail is real simple, okay? If you ever notice, this guy's going to end up here. This cross is going to be here. You're going to have a flat here, okay? And then you're going to have the crosser, you're going to have the trail who's going to block and trail and hold. So you have a nice flood concept. But watch what happens. Easy dump off because they can't match Boston Scott's jet motion. Okay, let's watch it from full speed so you can kind of see it. Watch how he gets across the formation. The guy who's in charge of maintaining outside leverage doesn't even see it happen. And all of a sudden, he gets himself late. He puts himself in a bind, and it's an easy advantage throw for the quarterback. That's the easiest 15 yards he's had all year. Watch it from the end zone. You can get a real good feel for this. I want you to see the jet motion. Number 20 gets himself lost because he doesn't see it. There's a blitz call happening. They're trying to take away the outside zone. Notice how the D-line is playing. Notice how the D-line is playing gap integrity, and they're trying to maintain that play side gap because they think it's where outside zone's coming from. Notice the 51 stays because he's thinking there's an RPO, okay? And there's your boot concept with a trail on it, and you've got yourself a great play. All right, so let's talk about just the simple passing game without the screens, and let's talk about the boots. Okay, so first thing you're going to see right now is they want to put themselves in situations. So let's look at down and distance. 2nd down and 8, down by 7, 4th quarter, okay? Giants, prototypically, one high safety. They're going to run man. So what they're doing right now is they're getting an empty because they're going to motion the running back in the backfield. A lot of NFL teams do this to determine coverage more than anything. So all these sees them bump over, but you notice it's a real simple look. They can't give it away. If you look, what you're getting, the simple motion right here is going to allow the quarterback to see, okay, it looks like too high to start, but now you realize, okay, it can't be. Now they have to show their face, okay? And this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this exact look right here. One high safety. You're going to get man, okay? And so it's real simple. What the Eagles are going to do is they're going to run a simple Hank concept out of, a Hank concept, and they're going to double it according to, like, if you're a Saints fan, you know what I'm talking about. So what they're going to do is they're going to run some kind of curl, flat concept with something holding in the middle. So basically, you're going to get something like this. You're going to get the tight end's going to sit in the middle. You're going to get a curl by number 1. You're probably going to get some kind of flat by number 2, okay? Which means that this guy is now going to be the flat, which means simply the running back is the flat. That means that this guy is running the curl, okay? And he knows they're in man. So that means that this kid right here, unless he takes off immediately, is never going to get to the flat, and that's what they're looking at. Watch how it happens. As the quarterback goes out, he sees – now notice that he sees that the curl concept of this side is not going to be there because they're playing pressed on the man. He knows the hips is turned right here, running back in the flat right now immediately. Throw that ball. Let your kid in space have an opportunity to be successful. Boston Scott is phenomenal at this. Now, let's get real. For the most part, guys, I want you to understand that in most offenses, this is actually a check down and not going to happen early. Most teams are going to look for their receivers up top, or they're going to look for their tight end in the middle because you have Zach Ertz. But the reality of it is simply this. A lot of these guys need to understand that they're simulating the pressure they're going to simulate pressure from the weak side, from the strong side, from the boundary, and they're going to drop this linebacker and make him man the tight end. So it's probably a real simple read for him. He probably looked to see who had the tight end, saw the drop, saw he didn't have it, looked to the mirror side. Now, again, because of who their running backs are and their receivers are, the running backs have now become a primary read in their offense, and that's really something different that a lot of people don't have unless you're just truly one of those teams. Notice he's calling the blitz. He knows who the mic is. Watch Wentz's eyes. He immediately looks at the middle linebacker. He sees it, and he just dumps that thing off immediately because he knows they're in man, and he knows he has his guy in space right now. Phenomenal play. Okay, one more right here. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to show you how this passing game, guys, this is only the last 3 weeks of the season. So let's take a look at what's happening right now. Okay, so you've got against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are very traditional one high, cover 3 or man. They're going to bounce motion this guy back and forth to determine coverage. They know that is truly actually a guy. They know that what's happening right now. He can see the leverage of the hips of the corner. He can see this guy's playing inside leverage. Okay, with his hips to the sideline. He is not ready to man turn. This is not man. This is a straight cover 3 look. Okay, so he knows by running his concept here, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, notice the one high look. Notice what they're going to do is they're going to go to cover 3, and all they're going to do, I'm going to show you real quickly, is this. This is the concept. You're going to get a little snag look, and I think a lot of people know what snag is, but it's a little deeper for them. 5-step bang. Okay, you're going to get a hold. Okay, and these guys are actually I think they're just running something off over here, some kind of deep concept they get one-on-one. Again, most time against cover 3, you're going to look to try to get to this. Okay, but what they're going to realize is they're going to try to snag this thing. For the most part, they're going to try to read this middle linebacker. If this tight end is going to sit and this snag route's going to happen, there's going to be open vacated spot. But really, what happens is they're looking down here at the snag. They notice it's cover 3. They notice this guy's bailing. They know that his hips have turned. Quarterback's going to throw that ball immediately. They try to rub this thing right here as quickly as they can, and it doesn't happen the way it should have. Okay, but the reality of it is you've got Miles Sanders, who's the other great running back, who gets in space as quickly as he can. If I could turn this volume up on this, if you watch this on TV, which I thought was really interesting, you actually go back, and if you look at this on NFL Game Pass, and you can see it, as soon as this happens right here, he starts screaming, Carson, Carson, Carson. You can hear him on screaming Carson, and he drops it and throws it because he knows he has him in space. The Philadelphia Eagles love the running back out of the backfield. It has changed the game. It has saved them. But what else it's done is it set up all the other throws for them later in the game. So take a look. I'm going to show you something really interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you something really interesting what happens. It sets everything else up. Notice the down and distance. Okay, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys. Okay, it's 1st and 10. Okay, it's 1st and 10. This is another screen setup right here. They're going to start in a tight end wing set, which is a predominantly heavy run set for them. They're going to motion themselves over into a predominant stick formation that they run. If you look at my previous plays list of this NFL Saints stick concept, the Philadelphia Eagles run it too. What's happening right here is you're going to get a nice, easy stick concept, and this linebacker is going to drop out for the stick. You're going to get a drop out for the flat. You're going to get a guy dropping deep for the middle, and this guy's going to drop because they're in cover 3. What that does is that actually moves everybody out of the way for the simple screen play, because notice that this guy is vacating quickly because he knows that they're in cover 3 and they're going to push out for the stick concept. You notice you've pushed 3 because you've run it so much, and now you have the screen behind it because you know those linebackers are going to leverage the stick concept. Okay, not rocket science, but what they've done is a great job. They've set this play up with motion. They notice they run stick. Smith is going to run with Ertz because Ertz is the #1 pass threat for the Eagles. And now you've got a wide open vacated spot behind because everyone has to drop. Okay, well, the next play I'm going to show you is this is actually how the whole thing sets up. Notice the down and distance. 3rd and 7. Okay, it's 3rd and 7. And I want you to see this. Again, we talked about before, nasty sets. The reduced sets are a huge formation tell for a screen for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, notice what they do is they drop to two high safeties. All right, they're waiting for the screen. They're assuming screen. Notice they simulated pressure. They dropped out. Okay, now you get what you're getting is you're getting a 2 high safety look, you're getting a cover 2 look. Okay, but what you're going to get is you're going to get a linebacker who's going to check for screen because this is normally a screen formation for them. So notice that they're in 2 high. This guy's bailing deep. They're assuming they assume you're going to get some form of a cloud over here, and they're thinking they're going to get a slip screen to the boundary because, again, if you go back and look at the previous plays, the Philadelphia Eagles ran a slip screen to the boundary on this exact same style formation. So they're going to adjust out and look for the screen, which opens up the seam for Dallas Goedert, which actually opens up the rest of the passing game for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at it from the end zone, it's really something really easy to see. You can watch where their eyes go. Watch Boston Scott in the backfield. Their eyes are going to be on him immediately as he tries to push up into the line to protect for pass. Notice they bail out. Watch how everyone just sits, and you've got a nice open window because, again, the running back passing game has created and saved the Philadelphia Eagles season, which, again, I think a lot of people struggle with understanding how they've done it. And Doug Peterson does not get enough credit for what he does every day on Sunday. It is absolutely amazing what they can do, okay? You know, and I think a lot of people need to understand that that's a really big deal. So against the Seahawks on Sunday, the Eagles face one of the worst screen defenses in the league, which I really think is going to help them. Okay, a team that will leave 3 linebackers on the field and ask them to cover the tracks for the Eagles' shifty running backs. I have a problem with this. In the first meeting, Miles Sanders had about 5 targets and 20 yards. Boston had about 3 snaps and 0 touches. I can almost guarantee that the dance that's about to happen is the Philadelphia Eagles running backs versus the Seattle Seahawks linebackers, and you're going to see Sanders and Scott as the primary passing options for the Eagles offense through the month of December and January. Guys, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. If you like it, leave a comment. Thanks for everything, guys. Have a great day.